How's it going, guys? It's me again, Jalen King. I'd like to welcome back to my junior year. Now this time, before you guys got to see how my life was before high school. Now we jumped ahead a couple of years, specifically three, and now you guys get to see my junior year. So starting off with career ed. Career ed was like the most memorable moment I had in my junior year, just because of like the projects and Mr. Woods himself. But the one thing that I remembered the most from that class was the business plan. So I was in a group with Jordan Keys, and Lorenzo, Casey Chan, Natalie Montoya, and there's another person. No, it was just us, and we decided to do a restaurant, and specifically we decided to do a Jamaican restaurant called the Voodoo Shack, and it was like directed towards not only like the older generation, but it was also like for little kids too. Like where we give them like little voodoo dolls, and they have like a little fun time running around like poking it with like little crayons, like a little scavenger hunt. But that was our idea, and I remember staying up for like hours trying to get like all the equipment and all those other things. And I remember when we actually presented it, I had a Jamaican accent because I am like a quarter Jamaican, so like the accent just came natural, and I remember Mr. Woods just laughing about that. So that was like one thing I remembered the most from it. The next project we did was our a college board project, and that's when we got to explore colleges that we wanted to go to, and we got to do research on how to get into that college, if there were scholarships offered at that college, the cost, like living expenses. Basically, like research college, and it was really cool because the college I wanted to go to was the United States Air Force Academy, and that's not really a common college that you hear about a lot. So when I actually got to do research, I actually got to see what the college was, like not only with admission and like paying wise, but like actually getting to see the beauty of the school, and that enticed me to actually go out to Colorado Springs and go to the school itself over fast track that year between my junior and senior year. And I went up there. I went through their summer seminar program, and basically I spent a week up in Colorado, doing exercises, going to classes, basically like having like a daily life of a cadet at the Air Force Academy. And I actually got to go through like a basic training every morning. I had to eat, and this is called Form 606, and basically you sat there and you had to like eat basically like in a square at the position of attention. Your chest was up, and you had to put your hands back on your lap before you got the chance to chew. And if you wanted to eat something like with your hands, or if you wanted to eat something as like a table, you had to address your cadre, which is like a senior member, and you had to ask them for permission first. And they can say no, or they can say yes, or they can put a little twist to it and be like, oh yeah, you can eat it, but you have to eat it with a spoon, or you got to eat it with a fork. And it made things a little bit more difficult. And I remember my cadre, she was a girl, and we asked if we can have permission to use the hot sauce, and she said yes, but we had to say the actual name of the hot sauce, and everybody was looking at it and we were like, oh, it's La Cholula, and that was like the name of the hot sauce. And she was like, that's not what we call it here. He's like, you want to do it again? And I'm like, oh, and we all remembered. And someone at the end of the table, her last name was Man Savage, and she said it's a spicy lady. So we ended up calling this hot sauce La Cholula Spicy Lady the rest of the time there. So that was like the one of those moments that I remember the most from there. And actually, what inspired me to actually get to the United States Air Force Academy were not only my parents, but also we had a speaker come down from the Air Force, and I actually got to get a chance to talk to him more about what he did and what path that he wanted to go through. And I figured out that he went to the Air Force Academy, and now he's in the Air Force, and he is a second lieutenant right now, probably first lieutenant at this point, and he does like nuclear programming, stuff like that. So like building bombs or building rockets, stuff like that, top security clearance things, and all like that's cool. and he was telling me about it. And he said he loved it. The only downside is probably like the physical training part, but I mean that's the military for you, and you gotta expect that if you want to go to a military school or in the military in general. So that was really plus that I saw from him, and I enjoyed it the most. And um, that got us into the next project, which was a career project, and we got to job shadow and go and explore careers once we did graduate college, or if we just wanted to go straight into the workforce out of high school. And I came across the firefighting program and becoming a United States Air Force pilot. And I spent more time on the firefighting aspect just because I got a chance to go to Colorado and speak to other people, and I job shadowed my dad, and I went to a station, and in order to do so, I had to plan an interview. And in order to plan an interview, we had to have like proper etiquette, and you had to shake hands properly, cover letter, resume, all the lay down that you had to have. And I actually we had a guest that comes every year, Miss Tina, and she would come and she taught us etiquette. And I think the one thing that I remember the most from the etiquette was her telling stories about our luncheon that we're gonna be having, and to not eat baby tomatoes with a fork. And she shared a story about how they used to have like baby tomatoes like on the little salad bowls, and she told us not to touch the baby tomatoes whatsoever, because when like, try to stab them with the fork, they can like shoot like little bullets and like fly off your plate or land on somebody's like new nice dress or suit, and now you're embarrassed and you embarrass them. So it's just like a problem. So that was the one thing. And I remember actually going to the luncheon, and I actually had one baby tomato on my plate, and I was like kind of nervous because Miss Tina was sitting right next to me, and like she saw me look at the baby tomato, and she saw me because I saw her looking at the baby tomato, and we kind of like locked eye contact for like 0.2 milliseconds. And at that point, I'm like, no, I'm not eating the baby tomato. So what I did was I kind of like ate around it, and I just left the baby tomato right there. And I remember one of the people I was talking to, he's like, oh, do you not like tomatoes or something? And then Miss Tina just looked at me, and I looked at her. I'm like, I'm not really like fond of tomatoes that much. And Miss Tina just smiled and nodded her head. So that was like one thing I remember the most from our etiquette moment. And also actually scheduling an interview with my dad was kind of nerve-wracking because I had to be professional with him. And it was kind of like trying to keep a straight face while talking to my dad about a job was kind of rough. But junior year was crazy. I wish I like kind of managed my time more, because there was some nights where I was staying up till like 1 o'clock in the morning doing projects. But other than that, career ed was a blast, and I loved my junior year. So this is my junior year for you guys, especially career ed. This is Jalen King signing off.